we do here on Skiba News Nation, please like and subscribe, and also share with others so we can grow the biggest truth-seeking community on the internet. Huge shout out to all of our Patreons out there. If you like bonus content, you want some extra Skiba News Nation stuff, please go to patreon.com/Skiba News Nation.
Welcome to Skiba News Nation, bringing you unfiltered views, news, interviews, discussions, and more. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Skiba, award-winning musician and son of Rob Skiba.
With the son of the legendary Rob Skiba, Jeremiah Skiba, what's up?
With my great and insightful co-host, Mr. Jake Graham.
Dude, someone should do conspiracy news. It would be 10 times better than what you see on television.
It's like I don't even want to wake up.
He's on a quest for truth.
Hey Skiba News Nation family, welcome to episode 139 of Skiba News Nation, your weekly source of the latest news, controversial topics, conspiracies, forgotten history, and so much more. But now I'd like to introduce my co-host in studio, Mr. Jake Grant. Welcome, Jake, in studio.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here in person.
So me, Opa, Jake are all in the same room, and we got a pretty epic episode. Yep, you can barely, oh, there he is. But as of right now, TrutherCon will be tomorrow, right?
Now, of course, we do a little pre-recording, but as of the airing of this, it is literally tomorrow. And man, time has gone so fast. You know what I mean? It's like just a few months ago, we were just putting together the concept of TrutherCon, getting our speaker invites and stuff, but now it's like right upon us, and I'm so excited, man. I think just getting together with people in person is going to be so amazing. We are so looking forward to meeting each and every one of you that have made the time and effort to come out to TrutherCon this first year. I hope you guys know that this first year is very special, because it shows us, everybody that comes and sees how epic it is this first year and supported TrutherCon in its first year, you have a special place close to our hearts, right? Because this is going to just grow each and every year, bigger and bigger. At least that's our vision, to make this the biggest Truther convention event ever. And, you know, things have humble beginnings, but we have a grand vision for TrutherCon. And so I'm excited, man. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be pretty epic. That's the only word I can use to describe it. But anyways, enough about TrutherCon. You got some good current news for us today?
Yeah, let's get into it, guys.
Let's see.
All right, so this first story I wanted to share because we covered it briefly last Sunday in our live stream. And by the way, if you aren't tuning into our live stream Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. Central Time, you definitely should. It's a great time. We get to interact with you guys. But during our live stream last Sunday, I shared that I'm really obsessed with this story just because I had like a dream the night before with a glass pyramid. Like, what the heck? And Opa had some fantastic information about how they broke in. They drove like a big ladder truck up to it and had like, you know, big saws that they cut through the glass, and they escaped on motorcycles. Like, literally, it's like a movie script. But I wanted to show exactly what was stolen from the Louvre. Pardon me, I called it the Lure like all episodes Sunday, but I want to show a close-up of some of the jewels that were stolen in this heist, and we can talk a little bit about the theories of where these jewels might end up. Let's check it out.
These display cases contain some of French royalty's most beautiful jewels. The thieves stole this emerald necklace and earrings belonging to Empress Marie Louise. Queen Marie Amelie's sapphire necklace and pieces made for Empress Eugenie. This tiara set with 212 pearls and over 1900 diamonds. This large diamond brooch. The thieves dropped this crown made of emeralds and diamonds, which was found later damaged. All are unique national treasures and are difficult to value.
They are extremely valuable objects in the history of France, very expensive. They are priceless in terms of their symbolism and historical importance.
The jewels are easily identifiable. They are exceptional pieces, virtually unsellable on the highly controlled market for luxury jewelry. This auctioneer from a famous Parisian auction house fears the worst.
The only way to sell and launder the piece would be, in what would be an absolute nightmare for us, to dismantle the objects, take them apart and recut the diamonds. But that would require accomplices who, in my opinion, would be reluctant to get involved in such an operation.
For now, hope remains these jewels, symbols of the excellence of 19th century French jewelry, will be recovered.
All right, so as you heard the guy say, virtually unsellable, because it's a very small market for things like that. And so I love just to think of the funny answer to that question is, where would these jewel thieves sell these precious heirlooms from France's history, right? I'm like, well, you have the narco terrorists down in South America, some cartel boss buying the crown tiaras for their wives, or
Dr. Evil, maybe.
Dr. Evil. Or here's a theory: what if the French themselves stole their own jewels and then cashed in on the insurance settlement? And, much akin to something that we saw happen here in the U.S., has three numbers, if you read it backwards, 119, and a particular insurance policy that was taken out right before the big event happened.
Oh, the thing with the planes.
Oh, yeah.
And the buildings.
I don't know, man. I'm just speculating at this point, but it's funny to think about, like, it was through this crazy, like, movie-like national treasure heist, and then, like, what will they do with them? Like, I'm sure nobody will ever find out what happened to those things unless they surface in some kind of underground market. But man, yeah, funny story. I'm just really obsessed with it because, like I said, I had a pizza dream the night before, and then it was like, what the heck? This actually happened, But yeah, man, very interesting. I loved all of Opa's contributions on our Sunday show, talking about how they actually got away with it, driving up with this ladder truck and using these big stone cutting tools to cut through the windows, and they drove off on motorcycles, and pretty crazy story. It's not often you hear a story that reminds you of a movie script, right?
Yep.
Well, this next clip that I want to get into is somebody that we've interviewed on the show before, Bear from Bear Independent, and he is full on dressed up as like a Illuminati, like, conspiracy guy. In this very interesting segment. He has some very interesting intel. He's very closely, very carefully worded as to not kind of bring any liability on himself, but just pay attention to some of the things he covers. It's very, very interesting. And just in time for Truthicon, where we can talk about some of these concepts that he brings up. But yeah, hit this clip with Bear Independent.
Bear Independent Brief, 22 October 25. The news is all slop today. What else is new? A couple of things to be aware of. This is going to come as a shock to so many people. I know, brace yourselves. The ceasefire and peace agreement in the Middle East does not appear to be holding. I know. You can point the finger and blame whoever you want to blame on this, but some of the most accurate ground truth reporting seems to be, because it's next to impossible to get the actual ground truth, not impossible, but next to impossible, is that Israeli IDF suffered 2 casualties, fatalities, I believe, from UXO unexploded ordnance that was their own in Gaza, which then prompted them to say that, Hamas has violated the ceasefire and we will drop another 134, I believe it is, tons of bombs on Gaza. Whatever, man. Whatever. Bibi Netanyahu is wildly unpopular in that area of the world, including in his own country, and it's part of why you saw Trump say, "Hey, maybe we should give him a pardon for, just a pardon for war crimes." Andy Frisella has been talking about this for years, and he's been on the money with this, and I would agree. I don't think you get peace in the Middle East without getting rid of Bibi Netanyahu, and I don't think he's going to go quietly. Things like the Samson option, etc. So, surprise, surprise, the Middle Eastern peace agreement / ceasefire doesn't appear to involve ceasefiring or peace. Okay, cool, whatever, slop. Couple of other things. There's a lot of hay being made today about the Ballroom that is being added, $250 million in construction costs being added to the White House. And people like Senator Warren, why is this broad still alive? How come nobody's stuffed her feet first into a wood chipper yet? That's hate speech. No, it's free speech. That might sound hateful, but it's free speech. In any event, hypothetically, the wood chipper go bearer, she's saying words to the effect of, hey, we're entering into a K-shaped economy, meaning those that have are doing better in this economy and those that have not are doing worse in this economy. It's a bad look that Trump's spending $250 million on a freaking ballroom. Now, that's not necessarily untrue as far as the optics are concerned. However, the funding for the $250 million for the said ballroom coming from myriad private sources, not public taxpayer money. Yeah, makes you wonder. It's no win situation when it comes to funding, because if it's taxpayer money, then it's like, but my taxes. I got no money to buy a loaf of bread, but Trump's got money to build a ballroom. The inverse is these private donors are purchasing influence by donating to Trump's ballroom. Meh. Arguably, they already had influence, which is why they're privately funding this ballroom. But who cares? What's the reasoning here? The publicly stated reason is that, the existing ballroom facilities only seat up to about 200 people, and for functions at the White House that are more than 200 people, they have to move to the White House lawn and blah, blah, blah. And so instead, we're going to get a big, beautiful ballroom full of so much gold. Now, the gold is interesting. Recently, the Oval Office was remodeled, air quote, with lots of gold, and lots of people have said it's very, very gaudy. Now, this requires some tinfoil, and I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying this hypothetically. It makes a guy like me wonder, for those that know, gold is an excellent conductor. Excellent conductor. It's used in very low latency, used in very high-end electronics and circuitry. It also is used in very high-end Faraday cages because it's an excellent conductor as a shield to keep outside stuff from coming in. And I just wonder why? Because originally the ballroom was not going to require demolition of any of the actual White House. But now it is, just some of it, right? Just some of it. East Wing, I believe, Melania's quarters, the First Lady's traditional quarters. So we've discussed ad nauseum over the last 8 years of making 8,000 plus pieces of content here that nothing happens for one reason. This would be a very convenient time during the demolition phase to say discover certain infrastructure that may or may not have been authorized to be installed in certain areas of the White House. Infrastructure that, say, I don't know, could see and hear people that didn't want to be seen and heard, perhaps while they're having private conversations, or engaging in intimacy or taking a shower or anything like that. At the same time, now remember, we just had this AWS, Amazon Web Services, 51% on average of the internet went down for about a day. And you get a lot of people. No, it's the DNS servers, domain name servers. That's what it was, Barry. You're just being paranoid. Listen, I don't give a shit, if I'm being completely honest. It did not affect me. It did not affect Refuge Medical. I don't really care. But it did affect a lot of people in the upper echelons of the military-industrial complex. There's several of which, I won't use the word frantically, but we'll just say they were very concerned. And in conversating with them, now see, Bear, why do you say things that you can't say? That's disingenuous of you. How about instead, hear me out here, maybe shut the hell up and watch somebody else's channel while my brain tries to figure out the words to say to you, because these are completely unscripted. The words to say to you, to convey the information to you without betraying people's confidences or violating what's called a non-disclosure agreement, because I don't really want to wear orange. I don't really feel like being renditioned, okay? So I'm trying to provide intelligence value to you in a way that gives you something that's actionable, but without being actionable on my end. Tracking? We'll just say there was many concerned individuals at the upper echelons, because what we saw front-facing was, oh no, Amazon Web Services are down. Wah, my package is delayed. I gotta update my payment options. That was not even kind of the entirety of the scope of what was actually happening. So, just that's interesting, because it's almost like somebody has been saying that there is a persistent and ongoing zero-day exploit that affects everything that touches the internet, up to and including the highest echelons in the United States of America. How high? The highest. It's almost like somebody has said that very quietly, entire server racks are being pulled out and replaced with brand new infrastructure in a Hail Mary to try and remove the zero-day exploit, which has a low likelihood of success. It's almost like our enemies have fidelity into our day-to-day, minute-to-minute operations of hypothetically, of what's going on at the highest echelons. It's almost like that's happening. It's almost like, hypothetically, this could potentially be what's called a trial run for something larger. And it's almost like, hypothetically, if that is a trial run for something that could be larger, that somebody named Bear might have said, watch for the banks next and expect something, what are the normal pay cycles? Typically the 1st and the 15th. And so indicators, if something like that was to happen, I would look for lots of people in the know doing things 72 hours out from what the next one is. What do you mean by in the know? Like, I don't know, that historic Bitcoin sell-off here recently. So, okay, we're building a ballroom. Okay, the Oval Office is now plated with gold. Trump is not as dumb as people want to think that he is. He's actually quite smart. Doesn't mean that I ideologically align with him on everything, because I don't. And if you've been here for any length of time, you're aware of that. But he's not stupid. Never underestimate your enemy. And I'm not saying that he's our enemy. But if we're not supposed to underestimate our enemies, what would that imply for the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States of America, the Chief Executive? I don't think we should underestimate him either. So why a ballroom? Probably for multiple reasons, but I find it interesting.
All right, so why is that interesting? There's several things that he brought up. And by the way, love the conspiracy hood outfit for your sit rep, Bear. Much respect. We'd love to have you back on the channel sometime to do another interview. But I think some of the things that he's pointing out are very interesting in consideration with, first, the gold plating and the fact that they might be investigating the wing that East Wing that they're tearing down for monitoring devices, video, audio, recording devices in like the First Lady's estate area. And not only that, but all the gold plating, the point he was bringing out about how it could be like a Faraday cage to keep things from getting in. And we've covered recently the element of Wi-Fi being able to be used to spy on people.
Yep.
And, you know, it's able to see through walls, see through things, and it literally can see people walking around. And I wonder, as technology is advancing, are we seeing these things being implemented because they are creating Faraday cages and the president's faculty and himself from listening ears and wandering eyes? The politicians that are speaking out against this, it's like, oh no, it's terrible. He's tearing down our monitoring suite. Oh, we hate that, right? But yeah, that's one thing. What do you think about the ballroom and all the gold and you know the theory that Bear presented there, Jeremiah?
I personally love gold. I'm normally wearing my triple chains, but I think that's very interesting about what gold has the capability to do. And a lot of people don't think about that kind of thing. So I think he's right on point.
Yeah, he mentioned. Opa, did you have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, you know, gold is a very good conductor, and if you look at high-level circuit boards with chips and things like that on it, all of the connectors between the chips are gold because it conducts electricity very, very fast. The thing about a Faraday cage, though, is that it would, you know, I can see them building the ballroom and putting enough, I wouldn't necessarily have to be gold, but it could be gold, putting enough of the structure of a Faraday cage into the ballroom, and maybe part of the area where they had to demolition the White House and rebuild it. But you know, a Faraday cage is kind of like, you know, if you had a cage for your pet, and you install that looking cage around your room or your building, and you electrify it, that's what blocks any kind of outside signal from, or anybody from snooping on your outside signal. Now, you know, anytime you go into an embassy, for instance, when the embassies are built new in various places, they build the structure so it does have a Faraday cage to prevent people from spying on them. So it's possible the ballroom and whatever they have to rebuild on the infrastructure on the East Wing, they could incorporate it in there.
That is very interesting. He also brought up the big internet outage that happened just a few days ago, and how, you know, people are they're paying attention to it, but
well, that affected us too.
Oh, really? It did?
Well, all of our Ring cameras, for instance, if somebody came to my front door, I normally get a notification that there's somebody there from the Ring camera. Well, that didn't work because of the AWS, Amazon Web Services were down. And also, when I went to order groceries, I couldn't because their connection to Amazon Web Services database didn't allow me to fill my shopping cart and buy stuff.
Even Lindsay's school was down.
Right. And
that's crazy.
McDonald's had trouble. I mean, it would have affected a lot of stuff. But I want to clear up something a little bit about Amazon Web Services. Amazon Web Services is kind of like you've gone out and you build a website, but you don't build the website on your own computer. Rather, you use a service that's out on the internet. And that's essentially what Amazon Web Services is. You build a website onto Amazon servers, and also Amazon supplies database capability so that you can build your database on there, like the shopping list, your groceries, stuff like that. And what had happened is that the database portion of the Amazon Web Services went awry. And so even though the websites were there, like when I went to order groceries, the website was there, or when I went to Ring, Ring was still there, the website, but whenever they had to access the data that they saved, they couldn't get to it. And that took them quite a while to fix. So that's essentially a very, very simplistic view of what Amazon Web Services is.
And it's very interesting. I mean, reports were going out that it was like over 50% of the internet was encountering issues. And I know a gas station near where we lived up in Missouri was also experiencing, like, all of their card readers were down. And these things catch my attention. Considering the state of the world, considering the push and pull of powers, we're having competing AIs being integrated into the global internet network systems. Already,
this is a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that it really makes you realize how much of the internet and how much of these cloud services and servers and everything we rely on. And if something happens to them, we're really up the creek.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that depend their day-to-day on the internet, and just like that, it can be taken down. It makes me think of why I was so adamant about getting hard copies of video games back when I would play Xbox and stuff, because they transferred a lot of things to the cloud base, and it's like, in a way, you're really just renting those games, right? If you don't have a physical copy of a film or a book or whatever, then they can take it from you. And I think that's an element of control, and it's as if we're getting a taste of what could come. So do you have the things that you really value, hard copied and downloaded offline, or are you at the whim of the internet's on and off switch, right?
That was another thing that was the streaming services were down, because a lot of the quote movies or a lot of the stuff that you watch, your TV series and what have you, was stored out there under Amazon Web Services database, and you couldn't get to them.
Well, you can get to BabylonRisingBooks.com, and you can get Charlie's Big Adventure in person. So, get the physical book.
The physical book at Truthercom, because if you go to Amazon and
if you go to Babylon Rising Books.
Oh, but you do,
or
because
you can come to
because you're not
anyway.
using Amazon Web Services. So
right.
That is very true. You can go to BabylonRising.com and still buy.
Get all my dad's material, my mom's material. Just make sure you have a physical copy. So
yeah. Now, this topic at the beginning of Bear Independence segment, where he brought up the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, and that just going in the wind, right? It's very interesting. It made me want to show this next clip, and this next clip is a time lapse from before October 7th to after October 7th, showing the extent of the bombing that has happened on the Gaza Strip. And it's we got to be careful. We're trying to not be biased to one side or the other. And obviously, there was some terrible atrocities done on October 7th, although there also seemed to be elements of a stand-down conspiracy surrounding that as well, and just so many things. But I wanted to show this time-lapse clip because it ties to kind of the reaction that we saw, like 2 IDF soldiers coming into contact with unexploded ordnance, and then the response being tons and tons of more bombing, and it's just it obviously this ties into current events with people that were speaking out against the Israeli government and what is being done in Gaza, but also the common sense of, hey, terrorists don't surrender ever, and it's just a complicated thing. But I did think it was very melancholy watching this time lapse from pre-October 7th to after. So check this out. So 200,000 tons of ordnance has been dropped on Gaza, equivalent to 13 Hiroshima nuclear bombs, according to that post. But yeah, man, it is really interesting, and I just want people to stop dying, and I definitely don't like that Hamas went and killed babies. So I'm with them on that. So it's just one of those topics that is meant to be very polarizing. And so it's very hard to be middle of the road. And so, as we try to cover it, we're not trying to just throw a bone to conservative pro-Israel, but we're also not trying to be pro-Hamas terrorists, right? And so how do you talk through this very difficult topic that obviously is very polarizing? And it's just, it's very interesting. So anyways, let's move on to this next clip. This is L.A. Marzulli breaking down what he believes 3i Atlas could be signaling to the world in terms of the esoteric. Very interesting. Now, 3i Atlas, for those of you who are not familiar, is this interstellar comet/object that is coming from out of deep space, and has just recently images were dropped by China making, with some kind of crazy Fibonacci sequence of lights coming off of it. Insane alien-esque stuff. But let's hear L.A. Marzulli, the UFO expert we've had on the show many times, break down his opinion on 3i Atlas.
Video is for entertainment purposes only. I want to discuss 3i Atlas and my take on it. And this is pure conjecture on my part. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm just looking at the name and kind of going through it. So let's dissect it. 3i Atlas. Atlas is a Greek god. So he's the Nephilim. He's half fallen angel, half human woman, creating the Nephilim. That's what it is. Goes back to the Genesis 3:15 narrative. The seed of a dragon will be at war with the seed of the woman. So here's the deal. Atlas is holding the world on his shoulders. So this is a global event. That's what they're signaling. 3i Atlas. Atlas is holding the globe. All right. 3i, third eye, enlightenment. In the Hindu religion and yoga, they open up in occult initiations, they open up the third eye. So are they signaling it to us that whatever's coming in will be a global event, a worldwide event, and will somehow tie into enlightenment? Total conjecture on my part, but it is interesting. I am L.A. Marzulli.
Very interesting. What do you think about that, Jeremiah? Do you think that's what that comet could be signaling?
I don't know. I take his word for it, but I love the fact that he's getting the recognition that, like he's doing the social media thing now and getting a lot of plays, and I like that part, but I also like what he said. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and now they are claiming that 3i Atlas will be closest to the Earth in November, and just the UFO and approaching alien armada conspiracies that have been thrown all over the place, the way that these astronomers are talking about 3i Atlas being unlike any other interstellar object that's come near the Earth. There's a lot of people pointing and going, look, look, look. And like he said, Atlas is the guy with the big world on his head. And 3i, third eye, there could be a lot of things that are associated with this. And so my question is, and maybe you guys can leave a comment down below, what do you believe could be the world apocalypse or unveiling that is associated with this 3i Atlas comet? And what do you believe is this world event that will be opening the minds and eyes of all of the people? Like, do you think there's something coming in November? I'd love to hear what you guys are predicting down in the comments below. All right, let's move on to our next clip here. Now, Amazon reportedly could replace 600,000 workers with AI robots. Check this out.
Concerns that Amazon, the second largest private employer in the country, is planning one of the biggest workplace transformations in modern history.
In a fulfillment center, the Cardinal robot will pack packages into carts.
The New York Times, citing leaked documents, reports Amazon expects sales to double by 2033. growth that would normally require 600,000 more workers. But the company is reportedly looking to fill those jobs with robots and automate 75% of its operations.
75%.
Technology. That's what we're going to do.
In the near future, Amazon reportedly estimates automation could help it save more than $12 billion and shave about 30 cents off each item it ships. In a
Don't have to
statement,
pay those
Amazon
mouth
said the leaked
breathers.
documents reflect the perspective of just one team and don't represent our overall hiring strategy, adding that the company is
I'm a nose
actively
breather
hiring
myself.
and plans to fill 250,000 positions for the holiday season.
One of the things that we've been proud of over our 10-year history is the ability
That
to
wasn't
develop
there when I was
robots
there,
that
though.
work well alongside people.
It comes amid growing fears of technology replacing human workers. The so-called godfather of artificial intelligence has been sounding the alarm.
If I
Looks like
worked in
Mr.
a call
Burns.
centre, I'd be terrified. If I was someone like a legal assistant, a paralegal, they're not going to be needed for very long. For mundane intellectual labour, AI is just going to replace everybody.
Amazon has said it's busy training human workers for high-paying jobs that will include working with robotics.
Sure. We're going to give you jobs to work with our AI, right? I mean, what? They're going to need one guy to press a on button and then everything else does the rest?
AI, the third eye. Think about it.
I. Oh. All right, let's hit this next clip.
I think the best days of Pfizer are ahead of us. Because COVID was, for me, like a rehearsal, a prova generale, how you can mobilize an organization and do the impossible possible against a main disease. We are after cancer and many other things in the years to come.
Did you catch that? The Pfizer CEO looking back at 2020 as a rehearsal.
Did you see the first comment on that video?
Oh, what did it say?
Wood chipper.
Hey, that's the joke Bear made about what's
I know, it all connects.
Everybody's talking about throwing the bad guys in wood chippers. Free speech. Now, don't ever forget what they did to us in this rehearsal. Check this next clip out.
Now Babylon, strolling now Babylon, strolling now Babylon. The race ain't given to the fast or strong, but we strapped up fighting now Babylon. Double-edged axe attack, hack and slash through the army of lies. Yeah, we be blasting facts. God's people are rising, shouting from the rooftops. We gon' keep climbing till we get to the top. They want your mind in a box, but we breaking down barriers. Vaccine the masses, blood, we ain't the carriers. They crack the nefarious, y'all keeping this very good. We ain't the victims, now we are the champions. It's the reign of Yahusha where we walking commandments. They be steady advancing, but we got the advantage. Though my feet may get weary, you tell me carry on. Look to you for my strength, you're always there when I call. Fight the lie with your word, equipped for war, Babylon. Take my hand, lead the way, we're strolling out Babylon. Strolling out Babylon. Strolling out Babylon. Strolling out Babylon.
Babylon rebels, the righteous must travel from sea to sea to see if they can seek after the wisdom of the hallowed. This hourglass is filling with sand, and the wicked won't stand. But a wise one will stand up and brush that dust off with their hands. Listen, everyone's waking up, realizing the aspect of love. Backs of pack on the door, time to grace the way. To a path is called the Torah, and walking after righteousness makes you
Oh my goodness. I remember, I mean, I'm sure a lot of our audience remembers, man. And I think it's interesting because we see, one, the statement, oh yeah, it was just a experiment. It was a test run. Oh gosh. But then we see things like RFK and Trump standing up there as they give them $750 billion, despite RFK being a outspoken, a anti-V person, allegedly, but then his actions and the Trump administration's actions bolstering the pharmaceutical industries that caused the dystopian experiment. And it's just, we got to have our head on a swivel because, You judge them by their fruits, not by their words, right? And so there are elements of technology coming, and we know that the WHO basically controlled the world, because you know who controls you by who you can't criticize. And there's no there's not really any profession that has more of a synonymous God complex as doctors, right? The only ones who don't want to be challenged by your Google degree, right?
And they can kill you.
And they can kill you. Power of
away
life
with
and
it.
death. Oh, and by the way, they swear fealty to Apollo through the Hippocratic Oath. But I digress. Let's check out this next clip of what they want to put into your body.
Electronic pill, if I can call it like that. It is basically a biological chip that it is in the tablet. And once you take the tablet and dissolves into your stomach, sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the applications of that, compliance. The insurance companies to know that the medicines that patients should take, they do take them. It is fascinating what happens in this field. It is basically a biological chip that it is in the tablet.
So it doesn't just delve into the medical, like human health industry. It can also veer into biological identification and things like that, which will tie into our next couple videos here. Check out this next clip.
Peter Thiel keeps talking about the end of the world. Thiel has spent the last year giving private lectures on the Antichrist, not as a joke, but as a framework for understanding AI, politics, and power. His thesis essentially ties Silicon Valley's tech acceleration to biblical end times prophecy. The faster we innovate, the closer we get to Armageddon. So Thiel sees modern governance, especially attempts to regulate AI or unify global systems, as the path towards this Antichrist, a totalitarian one-world state promising peace and safety. He borrows from controversial figures, blending apocalypse theory with real geopolitics. To Thiel, technology is eschatology. But the problem here is that Thiel isn't just theorizing, he's actually building the infrastructure his theology warns about: defense AIs, surveillance software, and ideological proteges in the government. His claim is to fear a one-world regime, but funds tools that make one possible. The contradiction is strategic because crisis consolidates power, and theology gives it moral cover. So then, by invoking the Antichrist, Thiel reframes political opposition as cosmic evil, a holy war. Once enemies become demons, compromise stops being an option. But I don't think Thiel's obsessed with the Antichrist because he fears it. I think he's trying to outsmart it. Because if you believe apocalypse is inevitable, every investment becomes a hedge against the end of the world. And maybe that's the scariest part of all this, because the idea that salvation might not come from our faith or humanity, but from whoever builds the last functioning server farm. But that's all just a theory, a theology theory.
All right, so this is definitely going to connect to another video I have where somebody very famous and outspoken has connected Peter Thiel with a lot of these underlying political figures, and it's very interesting. However, let's continue on to our next video here. Oh yeah, by the way, I still am trying to get my hands on some of these off-the-record Antichrist lectures. So if anybody has any more information on how I can actually hear about what he was teaching or speaking about, drop us a link or send us an email, because it's off the record, but I'm really fascinated to hear what this guy was presenting. Anyways, let's move on. I thought this was hilarious. It was a before and after picture of Kesh Patel. The thing says, "Bro saw those files." Let's see the before and after here.
Man, he went cockeyed, kind of.
And after seeing his really weird, "I'll see you in Valhalla, Kirk," and then that whole conspiracy that was tying Tyler dude with a screen on his desktop to an actual place called Valhalla, and oh man, very, very questioning of these figures that are, shining examples of liberty and freedom, and yet the Epstein files don't exist anymore. It's just big questions. Obviously, I'm not trying to cast shade on somebody who might actually trying to be doing good, but it does seem like they're compromised or they're unwilling to really give the American people what they want. And so you see that facial change, and obviously it's just two pictures. What the heck? Anybody can put any two pictures together.
Yeah, his eyes just happened to do that over time.
Yeah, but
He's
it is
looking at two different files too long.
Yeah,
Epstein over here and Clinton over here.
Oh man, yeah. Anyways, I thought that was humorous because people are very frustrated that they totally, ran back on the release of the Epstein files, which, by the way, was voted on 9/10, the day Kirk was shot. To keep concealing them. Nobody needs to really see the files. All right, let's see this next clip. Here's
that nobody's ever dreamt of. I only hope we never have to use them. I rebuilt the military. I was proud to do it, but some of the things I hated to do. I hated certain of the weapons because the level of power is so enormous. It's so dangerous, so bad. But we have to do what we have to do. We make the best weapons in the world that we've got, and we've given a lot to Israel, frankly. Some of them I never heard of, baby, and I made them. But we'd get them here, wouldn't we? And they are the best. But you used them well. It also takes people that know how to use them. And you obviously used them very well. But so many that Israel became strong and powerful, which ultimately led to peace. That's what led to peace.
Bibi's calling me. He's like, I need weapons. I don't even know what these are. I built this military. I don't even know what it is. You can't make up that statement. You can't tell me his writers are going, he's going off script. He's going off script.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, it is fascinating to me to wonder what secret weapons technology is just ready to be cracked. If you really, if you want to be a narco-terrorist, we will open the egg. So watch out. Mm-hmm. But anyways, let's hit this next clip.
China, they're piloting it a few years ago in Shenzhen. So I lived overseas. If you go to Shenzhen, back in 2017, they already had facial recognition cameras there. So if you jaywalked in Shenzhen, they would immediately detect that and send you a notification, and they would deduct money from your what they call WeChat account. They use two main apps, WeChat and Alipay. So you can actually deduct your money directly from your account. This is 4 years ago, so this is not like some sort of conspiracy theory. It's not something that's going to happen 10 years into the future. This happened pre-corona in China. And so this system in China that exists is extremely advanced. They can detect if it's a man or a woman. They can guess your age. They can detect what kind of car model it is, who the manufacturer is. This is a sort of technology that we see in all these dystopian sort of films and whatever. And people keep putting it off and thinking that this is something that's going to happen later in my kid's lifetime or my grandkids. It's already here. And if this gets implemented anywhere, especially in a Western nation, it's not going away. Israel is already talking about the fourth shot. Then they're going to be going to herpes, and they're going to ask if you're gay. They're going to be asking if you ate 3 pizzas this week because it's unhealthy.
Peter
If
Thiel's
you buy
gay.
certain books in certain countries, your country doesn't like you. You'll lose points in the social credit score system. So this is already the reality of the world in certain places, and we need to be aware of that if we don't want that or if we do. And to be perfectly honest, anybody who wants this vaccine passport, it's a misnomer. It's total control. Everything you do or don't do will be calculated. To the point where if they can detect your GPS signal, if you have a phone on you, they can detect who you're hanging out with. Oh, you're hanging out with somebody that said something bad 9 years ago on Weibo, okay, like a Chinese equivalent to Facebook or something like that, right? Oh, you lose 2 points. Oh, you bought Japanese books, you lose 5 points because you don't like Japan. This is what is going to come here because it's already there.
And we're doing that a little bit with contact tracing for COVID, aren't we? So that they can see where you're at and who you're with.
The simple reality is that the technology that CSIS has and all these big tech corporations, they already know where you are. It's just that they don't want to shock the system too much and admit that they have it. Edward Snowden revealed all this back in 2013. He fled to Hong Kong. They wouldn't keep him there, so now he's in Russia.
Yep.
But the NSA has all of your information. They know your Google searches from like February 9th, 2004 in a bunker in Colorado.
Help me, Rhonda.
Right? They have all this information. So, but they don't, like in the US, they have the Fourth Amendment. They're not supposed to track you forever.
Wow. So you're seeing the connections we're making with some of these clips. The advancement of tracking biometrics technology, the experimental time of 2020 where it was just a test run, and the things that they were rolling out and implementing there, and then the warnings of tracking Americans that was exposed by Edward Snowden back in 2013 or whatever. Now why is this concerning? Obviously here's the full reaching implications for people of faith, right? China cracks down on Christians, jails underground church pastors. going against the state's perspective of religion or the practice thereof, leading people into imprisonment. Well, next clip here.
I could argue in the developed countries, the big winners are countries that have shrinking populations. Okay, that's something that most people never talked about. You know, we always used to think shrinking population is a cause for negative growth. But in my conversations with the leadership of these large developed countries that have xenophobic immigration policies, they don't allow anybody to come in, shrinking unemployment, shrinking demographics, these countries will rapidly develop robotics and AI and technology. And if the promise, I didn't say it's going to happen, but if the promise of all that transforms productivity, which most of us think it will, we'll be able to elevate the standard of living of countries and the standard of living of individuals, even with shrinking populations. And so the paradigm of negative population growth is going to be changing. And the social problems that one will have in substituting humans for machines is going to be far easier in those countries that have declining populations. And so for those countries that have rising populations, the answer will be education, and so rapidly develop. You know, for those countries that do not have a foundation of rule of law or education, they're going to be left. That's where the divide's going to get more and more extreme. And unfortunately,
all right, man.
Well, it's so funny to read those comments. That's how you know where the rest of America feels, is if you read the comments. It said, let's start with you and your family first. Depopulation.
Yeah, you know, we talked recently with Kent Hovind, and in that interview we covered the Georgia Guidestones and this template that the New World Order has to keep the world population to 500 million or less. And I love telling people, yeah, I got a picture before that thing blew up of me kicking it over. And I always like to show people that picture. I might slip it in here, but
my mom always thought my dad did that from beyond the grave. That was his last blowout.
Came back.
Yeah.
Yeah. He might have been before the altar in heaven saying, blow that thing up, Bobby, yeah. You know. Man, let's hit this next clip here. This is Edward Snowden.
People care about surveillance. Because even if you're not doing anything wrong, you're being watched and recorded. And the storage capability of these systems increases every year consistently by orders of magnitude, to where it's getting to the point you don't have to have done anything wrong. You simply have to eventually fall under suspicion from somebody, even by a wrong call. And then they can use the system to go back in time and scrutinize every decision you've ever made, every friend you've ever discussed something with, and attack you on that basis to sort of derive suspicion from an innocent life and paint anyone in the context of a wrongdoer.
Wow. Now, you heard that previous video that had mentioned Edward Snowden warning people back in 2013. And he was talking about the storage capabilities growing exponentially even in that video. And we are asking why they're building these massive data centers. Like, I saw a picture once of all the data centers it would need to really, you know, balance out this rise in AI technology. Abilene, Texas, they're building these massive AI data infrastructures. And it's crazy because when you think about the amount of technology and space that we're cramming into smaller and smaller devices, right? Like, I remember it was a big deal to have like a 32 gigabyte, thumb drive. Mm-hmm. And now we're fitting terabytes into phones. What do you think they're fitting into these data centers that are like cities big? I mean, it's all about the collection and the brain of the AI creatures, the AI gods that we are forming right now. And just imagine if, we apply the understanding of how they use information, audio, video recording, and all of the database they have on you, and they're using it with this new number cruncher of AI, which allows them to sift through all of the data and to identify and trigger and track and whatnot.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's interesting is that Google is buying nuclear reactors for their AI centers.
Ooh.
Well, so one of Lindsay's, I guess it's her cousin, she's a big fan of the show, her and her husband, and they watch all the time. What up, Harry? What up, Christina? But they wanted us to look into Graham, Texas, and they have big data centers that are going to be there. And she said to look into it, like, was very serious, and that we need to look into it. And, I was like, yeah, if you can send me some original footage and, like, go film it for me, like, we should probably go out there. But, yeah, she's been sending me all kinds of stuff, and gonna have to go through it all.
Yeah, it's very interesting. These data centers are becoming real estate hotspots to make a quick buck. We went and ran into Eddie Bravo and Sam Tripoli at one of the tinfoil hat performance things in Dallas a while ago, and there was a lady who was at the bar. And we were sitting there talking. We were trying to get to know, Eddie Bravo and talking with the guys there. And it was after the show, so it was all just kind of the people there. I think it was somebody's girlfriend connected to their entourage or whatever. And she was explaining real estate to like 2 or 3 people. And she was like, the next big thing is buying property where these massive data centers are. And I think she was specifically talking about Abilene when we were in that conversation. And this is like a year before it became big news that they were transforming that part of Texas into this big AI infrastructure thing. And so I remember getting like a little hint that it was coming from somebody who was just trying to make money off of the real estate. So that was always fascinating to me.
There's so many things that happened that day that blow my mind. Like the lady, remember her that opened for Eddie Bravo? She was hilarious.
Oh yeah, yeah.
She is now huge. She's one of the most famous conservative comedians there are. I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but she is like so big now, like she could sell out an arena.
Oh yeah.
So many things have happened since then, since that short period of time. It's just mind blowing.
We ran into that handler too. You remember the handler?
Yeah, and I had to like back him off so Eddie Bravo could get in the car. That part was a nightmare. I was like, babe, go grab my gun.
So this guy, obviously intoxicated. He was the only person in the crowd with a small hat, if you know what I'm saying. And he's like vocally saying, where I can hear him talking to Eddie Bravo, hey man, you gotta connect with me because I'm one of those people. I'm one of the insiders. And he was like hounding, and me and Jeremiah, of course, we were just trying to get to know Eddie and Sam because we wanted to have him on as an interview.
And Sam wanted to go. He was trying to get Eddie in the car because Eddie was a little intoxicated too, if I must say so. But trying to get him in the car, and this guy was getting in his face. Hey, introduce me to Joe Rogan. Like, I know all the CIA people, blah, blah, blah.
But what's funny is he was literally the only small-hatted person in the crowd. So yeah. It was like, oh, what a stereotype fulfillment with all the jargon and conspiracies going around nowadays, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's hit this next clip.
Have to get out and vote. And again, Christians, get out and vote. Just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
Is that like one of the quiet things said out loud moments? I mean, I think it's interesting. I mean, just the way that, that came across. But obviously, he was just, it was a speech gaffe type thing. But like hearing from the president of the United States that you won't ever have to vote again, Christians, it's kind of like,
yeah, why would he say that?
Yeah, why would he say that? And obviously this is not a game of sides. Just like that comment said, we're just trying to be aware because it is a spiritual battle, not of flesh and blood, but of principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. And definitely sometimes we got to be wary of the angel and light persona that fulfills all our greatest conservative dreams for saving America, but at the same time dishing out $750 billion to Pfizer to make sure they don't mess up when it's the real thing and not the trial run, right? So, man, anyways, let's hit this next clip. All right, so breaking news just recently. It had been passed into law, but it was being implemented just recently, the ID in Great Britain. And we already know their dystopian 1984 thought police thing when it comes to memes and interacting with people in controversial, things online, that they can land you in jail for thinking or investigating the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're seeing the digital ID there. We're seeing in Australia age verification system rolling out. I believe there's several other implementations of this kind of surveillance state element happening in various countries, and we're definitely seeing it started to get ramped up here in the West as well. So let's hit this next clip.
They go behind the container. So I can actually see through it and watch. Now they're engaging the guy over there and he's down.
Wow.
Imagine a guy's coming over a hill and I want to engage him. So actually I'm going to put on the mission shield. There we go. So this is a system that allows everybody to basically be operating as one combined hive mind where you can all share a view of the world. And by the way, this view that I have, it's shared now with all of the robots as well. So anything I see, like let's see I see someone inside of a building, every drone and every person now sees that person where he is. It's so crazy that I was born at the right time to actually get to build all of this stuff. Because you know Robert Heinlein, the science fiction author who did Starship Troopers?
Okay.
He was literally writing about these ideas of mobile infantry that's wearing mech suits and ballistics prediction, like helmets that show you the bad guys, give you radar feeds, give you night vision, give you thermal vision, the ability to do ballistics targeting, where it calculates where the wind is going to blow you around and where it's going to go. He was literally writing about this in the 1940s. I mean, we're talking about almost 100 years ago.
Wow.
And we happen to be born in the right time. So, too late to explore the seas, too early to explore the stars, but just in time to build Eagle Eye.
You're in the right timeline.
I am in the right timeline.
Do you ever feel like it's a simulation because of that? Do you ever feel like you're living in some sort of bizarre simulation? Because otherwise, like, why you? Why do you have such a unique existence? Why are you so fortunate?
Oh man, did you see that technology, man? Like, they were literally able to see through shipping containers at people walking by, and he said it, hive mind. The hive mind where you're plugging into the drones, and no wonder President Trump's covering the Oval Office in gold and the ballroom in gold, because they know this technology's out there.
Don't forget that.
Oh, the Golden Dome.
Gold.
It's all connected, all connected. Let's hit this next clip.
You know what's interesting? In the US, you have a process that allows the government to actually force any engineer in any tech company to implement a backdoor and not tell anyone about it, with using this process called the gag order, and there are certain legal procedures.
Not tell his own employer about it?
And yes, exactly. If you tell your own boss, you can end up in jail, like gag order. This exists.
Actually?
Yeah. This is something it's on Wikipedia. In France.
Like in the Soviet Union or in the US?
In the US. I'm not criticizing.
So your employees have a legal obligation to act as fifth column spies, saboteurs against you, your employees.
Well, that's one of the reasons we didn't discuss last time, why I didn't move to the US with my team.
And you got mugged in San Francisco on your one trip there.
Exactly.
That was the founder of Telegram talking about why he didn't want to base it in the US is because there's actual legal precedents where the government will require employees to open back doors into the software so that they can have access. And no wonder we saw that swap over of TikTok right, January 20th. I remember it was the big fear-mongering thing. Oh, TikTok's going down. This is my last post. And then within like 4 hours, it was like, President Trump has reopened TikTok. And and then, of course, it was sold to American companies. Well, it's probably because the algorithm that they were applying and kind of guiding the narration and other social media, they wanted to apply in TikTok, which was, in a way, kind of loosed from that because it was coming from the Chinese side. They didn't care about the American propaganda machine. They were just letting people talk about whatever they wanted to. So now we're seeing, these correlations. All right, hit this next clip here.
I was asked to be the chief advisor on a committee related to the brain-computer interface and its relation to the international standards for technology. That basically is they're a group of countries all over the world, and they all have committees that represent their country. Those committees determine what the standards are going to be for technology when it's commercialized and goes all over the world. Like, for instance, a phone or a toaster or whatever, it's got to meet certain safety standards and all this type of stuff. These committees are determining public policy about what's going to happen when you interface the brain, the computer, AI, and quantum. That's going to end everything. Period. It's the end. It's the initiation of the decapitation of our relationship to God. Will become cybernetic. Will become, instead of carbon, will be silicon-based life forms, cybernetics. And they're going to do this via voluntary compliance. Most people will walk right into it, not even knowing that they're doing it or want to do it. Because there's portions of the population all over the world, in the younger generations, that feel that humanity has no hope at all. And they're going to fuse with this technology already. So the brain-computer interface, it's tied in to everything. All our warfare systems, all our banking systems, all our health systems, all in the ways we do commerce.
Wow, that was a great clip.
Yeah, very interesting, right? Oh, man. Well, if you still have your tinfoil hat on, let's hit this next clip.
Symbolism behind Elon Musk's Grok logo. It is Saturn. It is just straight up a symbol of Saturn.
They have multiple meanings. So it does mean Saturn, but it also is a black hole. There is a thing called a Saturn black hole. Now, these Saturn black holes are called Saturn black holes because they look like Saturn, but they are tiny, tiny black holes, basically, that they can only open for a certain amount of time. Now, my theory is this Grok is clearly a Saturn black hole. Grok means understanding, which on the Kabbalah tree of life is Binah, one of the top 3 Sephiroth. Binah comes right next to Dayat, which is the hidden Sephiroth. Now, Dayat is an anagram of data. It's the hidden data, the hidden information that's coming in behind through the back door. Now, the X was originally, the original logo was a real thin X. It had 2 crosses, which means the crossroads between this world and that world. Now, what they've done is fattened or thickened the X stripe along the top. Now, I believe they've done that, just going off my own instinct. They're being able to hold those black holes open for longer and widen the door. Something can come in and something can go out. Could be a portal into time portals. It could be into a different reality, allowing something into this AI.
Yeah, it seems like he loves the idea of it. I mean, AI, of course, another portal opener, they say, but very strange stuff.
So, yeah, that clip from Greg Carlwood, who we just recently interviewed on the show. By the way, it was a really cool interview. Getting to talk to somebody who talks to other people is a real treat, because they sometimes have a vantage point by connecting all the conspiracy dots. And so I really thought that was interesting, and connecting what we've been talking about, that video right before it of how brain interface, human AI computer interfaces into our brain will sever our connection with God. And then, these AIs represented these black holes that are portals to other gods. And, you know, it's just all kind of coming together, if you know what I mean. Let's hit this next clip.
This is a movement like nobody's ever seen before.
So I thought you'd get a huge kick out of this, Jeremiah.
I love this.
The man pulled up to the No Kings protest in a Cybertruck with a large JBL speaker and President Trump's victory speech.
Like this in this country and maybe beyond.
That's great.
And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. Help our country heal. Movement.
Yeah, so just a little slip in there for, humor's sake. I thought Jeremiah would like that one. It is funny. Somebody pulling up at one of those No Kings protests. Yeah. Oh, man. I think there is an interesting thing with this No Kings protest topic. If you think about it, if you come from a biblical perspective, then you would be a monarchist, the king of all kings, he is the king of the universe, right? The savior, right? And so when you go and protest No Kings, are you unwittingly aligning yourself with an antichrist type spirit? I mean, they might be pointing fingers at Trump, but truly, deep down, do they just not want to be ruled at all? It's just a justification for lawlessness.
Yep.
But anyways, let's get into this next video. Thousands in Dublin protesting over a immigrant raping a young girl. It's terrible.
Where is this?
So this is in Dublin, Ireland, at a migrant hotel, and one of the migrants committing an atrocity, and those Irish are not putting up with it. Yeah. So this just recently happened. All right, so obviously a reminiscent scene of things we saw in Germany when the droves and droves of immigrants were coming in, and they were committing atrocities against the indigenous population. Just awful things they were doing to women and.
Why does this
violence.
remind me of the '60s?
We're following a pattern, Opa.
Well, my thing is how come everything is racist today, but it wasn't racist after in the 70s? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's playing towards it, but they were fighting for a just cause there. I wish we could do that here, but
Yeah, it's the liberal have tethered the immigration policies to racism. Mm-hmm. Because what they were doing is they were bringing in these immigrants, telling the immigrants that the other side's racist against you, so you should vote for us. And then they were basically stacking the deck with all of these illegal voters, and so it is interesting. Why is it racist now?
Everything is racist.
All right, let's keep going. So I mentioned this video connecting the whole Palantir thing with this conspiracy topic, and Nick Fuentes basically is dropping it all, the big bombs, and exposing it all together. And, he made some interesting comments here. Let's see this.
Peter Thiel, the FBI informant and CIA contractor, Elon Musk, the defense contractor and PayPal mafia member with Peter Thiel, close confidant of David Sachs, and J.D. Vance, who brokered the David Sachs fundraiser with Silicon Valley and Trump, mentored by Peter Thiel, mentored by David Frum, who worked for Bill Kristol with Tucker Carlson. Thiel, Musk, and Tucker lobbied Trump to pick Vance, and they said, if you don't, the CIA will kill you. Who's the CIA? Who does the CIA, NSA, FBI, DHS, who do they all contract with? Palantir, founded by Peter Thiel and Alex Karp and Joe Lonsdale, Israel First Jews that after October 7th flew their board to Israel and provided them with facial recognition technology to murder Palestinians. J.D. Vance, who upon becoming the VP nominee in his first interview said, we're going to bomb Iran, who went to the Quincy Institute and said, we need a pro-Israel spin on America first. Tucker, who interviewed Vance 46 times on his show, Vance hired his son. Vance's Rockbridge network was the spawning point of 1789 Capital, founded by Rebecca Mercer and Claire Monster Chris Buskirk, which gave Tucker $15 million. Rebecca Mercer funded Steve Bannon at Breitbart that spawned Milo Yiannopoulos' career. And Rebecca Mercer hand-selected George Farmer, Candace Owens' husband, to run Parler in 2021.
Very interesting.
Wow. A couple interesting connections, but if you noticed the date below that video, that was posted in August. And
Wow.
did you hear the phrase, a pro-Israel America first spin?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happened the very next month? You had alleged text coming out from Charlie Kirk going against the grain, criticizing Israel, criticizing Bibi, and then what happened? Boom, right? Let's hit this next clip.
Response, because prepare yourself. What he is saying is that they are about to launch a psychological war on Americans. Take a listen to what he says.
Christian influencers. Okay. He said, he talked about the woke right. And he said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich, because these people, you know, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're loonies. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay? And you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are in social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. That's very good. And, you know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. You should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now. We have to fight the fight, okay? To give direction to the Jewish people and give direction to our non-Jewish friends or those who could be our Jewish friends. Are we going to succeed with everyone? No. Will there be a strong counterpart? Yes.
Oh boy. Well, for those of you who want to do some homework, you know, Psalm 119:63 is who should truly be the friend of Yisrael, right? So are they actually seeking friendship with those who serve the Elohim of Jacob and Isaac and Abraham? Or is there a system, a modern state system, that is under the guise of a biblical name that do not lift up and uphold the commandments of the Torah of the Almighty, but rather there's an agenda using the name of a biblical entity to then justify things that would be contrary to righteousness, right? So anyways, without getting into the weeds, let's hit this next clip.
Uthmeyer. Today, our office will be issuing criminal subpoenas to the online children's gaming company Roblox. Roblox profited off of our kids while exposing them to the most dangerous of harms. They enabled our kids to be abused. Companies like Roblox have become breeding grounds for predators to get to and have access to our kids. These criminal subpoenas will enable us to gather more information for our prosecutors about the criminal activity taking place on Roblox platform, as well as evidence on the predators that are out there and the victims that are abused. At the end of the day, we will stop at nothing to fight to protect our kids, and companies that act carelessly and expose them to harm will be held accountable.
So we have Roblox apparently under a subpoena. This gentleman talking about just the role of Roblox in exposing our children to some very nefarious forces. Very interesting. You said you brought this up in the live stream?
Yeah, they're like chomos that are going in these groups and, you know, trying to mess with kids. So sick.
Wow.
Sick thing.
Yeah, I just want to bring this up because of the growing popularity of Roblox in certain generations. It is like one of the biggest kind of online gaming. Like people are making big bucks too, creating Roblox games. It's like really inspiring the younger generation to, you know, go and be creative and get into programming and creating their own Roblox, you know, money changing video game experience. But all right, let's hit this next clip here.
Really military, and the American national security apparatus who see a war in the Middle East, World War III, as fulfillment of biblical prophecy, as the end of the world in order to rejuvenate the world. This is the end times. This is the end of days. And again, I don't think this is really appreciated, how the American national security apparatus is fully committed to igniting World War III in order to force the return of Jesus, the second coming. And these elements in the national security apparatus, I'm sure you've heard of them, right? They're the Mormons, they're the Freemasons, they are the Jesuits, they are a people called the Sabbatean Frankists. These extreme religious Jews. Okay, so there are different secret societies embedded with national security apparatus who all are following a certain script that requires them to start World War III in the Middle East. And once they start a war in the Middle East, then they're able to fulfill their different prophecies, which includes the creation of a world government, which includes the return of Jesus, which includes the arrival of the Jewish Messiah. Okay, so I don't think people really appreciate the eschatological elements, the extreme religious elements underlying this conflict in the Middle East. But I point this out because there's almost like an anxiety or a rush to get this war started as soon as possible. You know, it's insane.
So this ties into the pseudepigraphal letter from Albert Pike, and I'm inclined to believe it actually was from Albert Pike, but what the letter talked about was how the 3 world wars were set up with the intention to create the problem reaction solution that would lead to the breakdown of modern religions and the rise of Luciferianism, and you know, you can see how Luciferianism and the new AI gods are coming hand in hand with transhumanism and such. But specifically, that the Third World War would be a war of kind of religious clashing between Christians and Jews and Islam, and that would be used to destabilize these centers of religious faith culture, and through the ashes of that would rise the true one world religion of the worship of Satan and all that. But it is interesting, and it was an interesting theory because it does parallel with what we were hearing about Peter Thiel and his apocalyptic end times assumption theories, where his role with Palantir in creating these systems are actually the building blocks for what would allow this end of the world Antichrist system to rise. And so, all right, let's continue on. Just as of recently, there are now 10,000 Starlink satellites being put into the heavens above, with even more being promised. But it is interesting that there's a lot of reports of some of these satellites supposedly failing and falling from the heavens. Interesting.
Well, they're designed to actually come down after a while.
Yeah, I just think it's fascinating the amount that they're starting to have up there, far beyond any other private or any other satellites up there. Like, they are many, many times more great in number for Starlink.
My understanding is that he expects to get 30,000 up there.
Well, it's very important if you want to have internet in the middle of the desert. And so very soon, I know he's talked about how phones will directly connect to satellites and allow Starlink to reach the four corners of the earth.
Well, actually, the new iPhone 17, you can, and I think 16 as well, you can go through the satellites.
Oh, wow. So it is already rolled out. That's really interesting. All right, let's see next up. Oh, here was a really interesting Asmongold clip.
I love this dude.
Check this out.
It was nuts. Look at this. Now.
Look what Oculus Rift is allowing people to do.
Damn. Yeah.
I think that's pretty impressive.
Watch this. This shit is nuts. Look at this.
So to me, it's just amazing the carrot of the access of technology as people are starting to use the Oculus Rift and they're using Google glasses and all this, implementing this technology in our way of business. I mean, that was incredible. Like, the lady literally had the stencil right there, painted right onto the thing. And so there's an element where if you don't get on the bandwagon using this modern technology, you're going to be left in the dust in terms of businesses, creatively. This is like, if you don't grab hold of and use the tool, then they're going to blow you out of the water with what they can provide versus what your services previously, artists had to go and think it up and slowly stencil it out or whatever. Now you just copy the thing that it's projecting onto your field of view.
Putting artists out of business.
Exactly. Here's one more Asmongold clip I thought really was interesting because it demonstrated how there is a insider language when it comes to trading, and you can see as certain words are spoken from these big financial heavyweights, when reports are being given or whatever, if they say a certain phrase, I believe the phrase is "good day," then it represents bad news is coming. And if they say something else, then it means it's good, it's all green, right? And you'll see the markets directly correlate with the words that these financial influencers are correlating. Is it insider trading? Or have people just tapped into the lingo? Check it out.
Good afternoon.
Oh!
My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on...
Bro, the timing. He didn't even start?
Good afternoon.
Oh!
Okay, do you see that?
Remain squarely
As
focused
soon
on-
as he
Bro,
said
the
the word,
timing. He didn't even
good
start?
afternoon, the market crashes. And so there's like these code phrases that these people have that if you're a market watcher and you're privy to it, you can actually kind of like, manipulate, you can take advantage of this knowledge. It's kind of like insider trading in a way, but to me, to have it visually demonstrated like that, where the guy literally has his laptop up and you're seeing the chart, it's green, good. And the guy, as soon as he says the words, good afternoon. It's like everybody who really knew that when he says good afternoon, it's bad news. But when he says the other phrase, it's good news. So I thought that being demonstrated was really, really interesting. All right, let's go to this next clip. For the last two little videos, I had some fun things. Here's a woman being blasted by wind into oncoming traffic. What a nightmare. Look at it again. The wind's just like taking you out. The cars had to literally slam on their brakes.
That's insane.
Wow. In terms of one last video, some natural phenomena in Hawaii, there was a record-breaking, massive lava spout flow. I thought it was so beautiful, really cool. Had some friends that live in Hawaii that were actually filming this like themselves, so it's super cool, very visually appealing and awesome to look at.
The zoom that I have to do to get the whole thing. Zoom in on him.
Look how small the people are compared to how large the lava.
Yeah. Don't get too close.
That's crazy. Apparently the skies are glowing red. You can see the red skies from the other islands. Man, that is cool looking. It looks like a tornado almost, like an inverted tornado.
Yeah.
But I love seeing things like that. You know, I've mentioned in previous episodes, there's so many crappy AI, fake natural disaster videos coming out that when you see things that are actually real like that, it's like, yeah, that's a treasure, right?
Yeah.
All right, and I had one last little picture here, which was a news story of them finding an image of Christ on an ancient piece of bread. A 1,200-year-old loaf of bread with an image of Christ unearthed in astonishing find. Now, I do want to ask the question, Jeremiah, would you automatically assume that that was an image of Christ, or is it just like, I mean...
I think it's what you want it to, you know, what you want to see.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Kind of looks like a mermaid to me. If I didn't see that picture of Jesus, I'd be like, that's a mermaid holding a volleyball.
It kind of does. It looks like the Starbucks lady.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I think it's, one, interesting that it's a loaf of bread. Like, what the heck? How stale is that bread? Turned into a rock? That's some hard bread. But anyways, I thought that was interesting. That's all the news stories for this week, guys. Hopefully you followed along our tinfoil hat journey, putting all those videos in a string of connections together. But, you know, we are coming up on TrutherCon tomorrow, and so I kind of wanted to get the oil cooking, so to speak, so that we'd have some really good conversations, because a lot of people are thinking about these topics and the surveillance state, the rise of AI, transhumanism, you know, the WHO and the biometric, you know, association with the big Pfizer agendas. And man, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. That's all for this week.
All right, thanks, Jake, for another great current news as always. Glad to have you in studio, and don't go anywhere. We still got a great Opus Corner and History's Mysteries. But now a quick look at my new book, Charlie's Big Adventures Around the World or Not.
Something in the mail today. Can I open it up? See what it is. Look at that. Charlie, look at this. Look. It's you. Charlie's Big Adventures Around the World. We're gonna flip through it. Get all that. Look at those.
Here they are.
To Danny's boy.
So now if you guys buy this in our Babylon Rising bookstore, you get a free signed copy for the same price. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you guys want a special edition of the book, go there.
Check out our new and improved BabylonRisingBooks.com, where you can get Rob Skiba's books, bundles, DVDs, DVD-ROMs, videos, and so much more. You can even get Sheila and Jeremiah's books, so check it out now.
It's about that time for an all-new Opa's Corner. Take it away, Opa.
Mein Hut, der hat 3 Ecken. 3 Ecken hat mein Hut. Und hat nicht 3 Ecken,
nicht mein Gut.
The strange, the bizarre, the unexpected. These are the kinds of subjects a man named Robert L. Ripley challenged us to believe it or not.
Believe it or not, you. Wally, believe it or not.
Believe it or not.
Believe it!
You're a loony.
Mr. Potato Head received 4 votes in Boise's 1985 mayoral election, the most ever for a toy. Believe it or not. Cheesecake likely originated in ancient Greece on the island of Samos over 4,000 years ago. Believe it or not. You don't have to be a lawyer to be a Supreme Court justice. Now that makes things clearer. Believe it or not. Elvis Presley couldn't read music or write it. Believe it or not. Bermuda has an estimated 20,000 feral chickens, and the bird is deemed an invasive species. Believe it or not. Now, this is important. There are 119 grooves on a quarter. Believe it
I didn't know that.
or not. Stephen King hates adverbs. Believe it or not. Florida State's gemstone is the Moonstone, chosen in 1970 to honor the Apollo 2 launch, even though it isn't found naturally in the state. Believe it or not. In 1963, Felicet, a stray cat, became the first cat sent to space.
Tuxedo cat.
She returned safely, and no other cats have gone since. Believe it or not. You can Venmo the U.S. Treasury to help pay off the national debt. Good luck with that. Believe it or not. Smoothie King and Heinz partnered in 2025 to create a tomato ketchup smoothie. Yeah. Believe it or not. The U.S. Postal Service allows people to mail coconuts without a box. Believe it.
What?
Or not.
I am so sending somebody a coconut now.
Betty Crocker is a fictional character.
I thought it was Crockett.
Now that's a crock.
Is that a
Believe
Mandela?
it
I don't know.
or not. In 2025, an AI-generated band, the Velvet Sundown, gained over 300,000 listeners in 2 weeks using fake members, music, and art. Believe it or not. Recently declassified files revealed the existence of a British diplomat who may have been a spy in the 1960s. His name? Bond. James Bond. Believe it or not.
blonde boards a plane, flying economy. Once the plane has taken off and the seatbelt signs have turned off, she gets up, takes her stuff, and moves a few rows forward to an unoccupied first-class seat. One of the cabin crew approaches her and politely says, "Excuse me, madame, but you can't sit here. This is a first-class seat, and you've only paid for an economy seat. I must kindly ask you to return to the seat you paid for." She looks up at the attendant and quite pompously announces, "I'm young, I'm beautiful, I'm flying to Los Angeles, and I want to fly first class, so I'm not moving." The attendant retreats, somewhat flustered. He speaks to the cabin chief, who approaches the woman and tells her the same thing. "Madame, please return to the seat you bought." The same response. "I'm young, I'm beautiful, I'm flying to Los Angeles, and I want to fly first class. I'm not moving." The cabin chief speaks to the cockpit crew. The co-pilot smiles and says, "Don't worry, I'm married to a blonde. I know how to speak to them." He calmly gets up and approaches the woman, asking her to move. Same response. Then he bends down and whispers something to her, whereupon she promptly gets up, takes her belongings, and returns to her original seat. The cabin crew are stunned. The chief approaches the co-pilot and asks, "What the hell did you say to her?" "It's quite simple, really. When she said she was flying to Los Angeles, I said, 'Yes, madame. But you see, first class isn't going to Los Angeles. Only economy is.'" A politician dies and ends up at the pearly gates. St. Peter looks at him and finds his name in his book. "So, you're a politician." "Well, yes. Is there a problem?" "Oh, no, there is no problem, but we have a policy for people in your profession. You have to spend a day each in heaven and hell, and then you will be free to choose where you want to spend the rest of eternity." "Why can't I choose now? Why do I have to spend a day in hell?" "Well, that is the policy. First, the politician spends a day in heaven. He sees angels singing and people playing harps. He finds heaven very boring for him. Next, he spends a day in hell. Upon arriving there, he expects to see barren wastelands with rivers of lava and people being boiled alive, but instead sees lush greenery and a large 5-star hotel in front of him. At the hotel entrance, he sees Satan wearing a tuxedo and sipping on a martini. This isn't what I expected hell to be. Oh, hell has been completely misrepresented. We have a luxury 5-star hotel with 7-course meals prepared by the best chefs. And we have all the sporting facilities you could imagine with a very large pool. All this is for free. So the politician spends the entire day playing golf and eating his meals by the poolside. At the end of the day, he sleeps in the most luxurious bed he could imagine in a very large suite. The next morning, when he wakes up, he is back at the pearly gates where St. Peter is waiting for him. So, what will it be? I can't believe I'm saying this, but I prefer hell. So the politician is transported back to hell, where he sees a barren wasteland illuminated only by the glow of rivers of lava and hears the screams of people being tortured. The air is full of the stench of sulfur. Once again, he sees Satan in his tux. What happened to the hotel, the golf course, the pool, and all the greenery I saw yesterday? Well, yesterday we were campaigning, today you voted.
It's a story about a woman who walked into a bridal shop one day and told the sales clerk that she was looking for a wedding gown for her 4th wedding. Well, the saleswoman asked, "Just exactly what type of dress are you looking for?" "A long, flowing white dress with a veil," she responded with assurance. Not totally convinced, but afraid to offend the woman, the sales lady said, "You know, dresses of that nature are usually more appropriate for brides who are being married for the first time, for those a bit more innocent, if you know what I mean." Well, the lady retorted and put her hand on her hip. "I do know what you mean, and I can assure you I'm as innocent as the rest of them. Despite all my marriages, I remain as innocent as any first-time bride. And you see, my first husband was a dear, sweet man. It was a terrible tragedy, actually. All the excitement of the wedding was simply too much for him, and he died as we checked into the hotel on our wedding night." "I'm sorry to hear that," said the clerk, "but what about the others?" "Well, my second husband and I got into a terrible fight in the limousine on the way to our wedding reception. We haven't spoken since and got the marriage quickly annulled." "What about your third husband?" asked the store clerk. "Well," the woman replied, "he was a Democrat." "And every night for 4 years, he just sat on the edge of the bed and told me how good it was going to be."
Okay, Oprah, Reagan was probably the funniest.
Reagan's got some quips.
Sorry, I just couldn't resist telling you.
I thought it'd be good to get together now that we've all rested from our summer vacations.
And although it's true summer vacations aren't always restful, you know that leads to a story. There was a fellow that was on his way to a mountain resort, and a policeman stopped him and said, "Did you know that you're driving without taillights?" And the driver hopped out of the car. He was so badly shaken that the officer took pity on him and said, "Well, now, wait a minute, calm down. It's not that serious an infraction." The fellow said, "It may not mean much to you, but to me it means I've lost my trailer, a wife, and 4 kids."
Young man, stop that car this instant and take your father with you to take your child to work day. He likes to watch a recap of our last walk in case he missed something he could have peed on. Throughout the 17 years that she had lived next to a golf course, Linda simply couldn't resist pulling this stunt whenever the opportunity arose. The most irritating part of a phone chat with Paul McCartney. I don't know why you say goodbye, I say hello. Hello, hello. Did you know there was a candle in there? I did not.
Poor kitty.
Holy cow! What's gotten into our lazy boy? Bubblegum. What'd you get? Fabric softener. Knock knock joke for cats. Knock knock.
Yeah.
Honey, you wouldn't want me to do this without a helmet, would you? Don't look at me. You two are the ones that always tell me to stop barking at them. Slow day in Gotham City. Fall. No. I'll ask one more time. Which one of you clicked on Disable All Cookies? Fire bad. Okay, children. That's our fire safety lecture. Any questions? From that day forward, Joshua made it his life's mission to invent peelless bananas. Little Bo Peep tracked her sheep. She claims it's for our own good so we won't get lost again. But what about our right to privacy? Meetings with the company brass rarely went well. Upper management would like to have a word with you, Stevens, and bring your banjo. Uh-oh. Alexa, while I was out, did Lucy get up on the couch? Cream, bread, cake, meatloaf, black-eyed peas. Wait, This isn't my grocery list. It's my music playlist. What do you mean? How's a flying little boy who never grew up gonna help you cook the flat unleavened bread? Peter Pan. I need a Peter Pan. Yes, you're a dud. You come from a long line of duds, and I guarantee someday you'll be very happy you're a dud. Toasty 10. All our beds are full at the moment, but I should have something available in 30 seconds. And what is this, Nurse Wilkins? I distinctly ask for the big scalpel. Big scalpel. Big scalpel. You pushed your own car into the river? You stole someone's identity? And then you moved to Brazil to start a new life as possums? I know it's natural to fake our own death, but I can't believe you took it this far, Leonard. I'm sorry we have to sneak around, but so many people think we don't belong together.
That's true. Some people don't.
Dennis, do you mind if Miss Carlyle comes in and sees your rhino tube farm? I feel bad for her. First she rolled over, then she sat, then she spoke, and not once did they give her a treat.
Looks like Roxy.
Canine Land Court. I peed on the property. But then I peed on his pee. How unicorns became extinct. We made it, Roy. We made it. Shh. It's a sympathy card for Otis. He batted his favorite pen under the break room fridge. Sorry for your loss. Oh, you're home early.
That's accurate.
The inventor of autocorrect died. The funnel will be held to motto. And that concludes another Opa's Corner.
Opa, I didn't know you had such a great voice.
Opa's Corner is now available on my own YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe.
Do you know Opa could yodel like that? It's pretty epic.
Oh yeah, he was a award-winning singer back in the day, so I'm not surprised he got a yodel up in there.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Opa, for another great Opa's Corner. And now a quick word from our good friend Kristen. Are you a content creator, podcaster, or show host trying to do it all on your own? Booking guests, moderating chats, creating timestamps, and scheduling interviews? It's exhausting. That's where Kristen and Fellow Helper Agency comes in. Kristen is the ultimate behind-the-scenes pro. She makes sure your show runs smooth from start to finish. Whether it's securing an amazing guest, keeping your community engaged, or handling the scheduling chaos, you can count on her. Imagine focusing on creating great content while Kristen takes care of all the rest. Professional, reliable, and trusted. If you're serious about growing your show and building your audience, you need Kristen on your team. Visit fellowhelperagency.com today because the right help changes everything. Thank you, Kristen. Now it's time for an all-new History's Mysteries. Opa, Jake, have you guys ever heard of Oliver the Humanzee?
No, I don't think so.
Nope.
Well, can we pull up that first photo? It's the craziest mystery I've ever come across. This is Oliver the Humanzee. He walked on two legs. Can we pull up the next one? I think there are only two photos. Tell me that's not half human, half chimpanzee.
Oh, man.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today for History's Mysteries. So without further ado, let's learn a little history about Oliver the Humanzee.
In January 1976, news broke of a phenomenon. Pictures showed an upright, bald ape called Oliver, who appeared to be a cross between a human and a chimpanzee, what scientists refer to as a Humanzee.
The existence of Oliver represented the first really tangible bit of ostensible evidence for a human-chimpanzee hybrid.
Oliver's photograph shocked the world, and in the media frenzy that followed, he became an international celebrity. In Japan, scientists investigated his anatomy, and in New York, some journalists described him as the missing link. Others dubbed him Bigfoot. So, who is Oliver? Could he be proof of the unthinkable? A hybrid, half human, half chimpanzee? At the time, science could provide no answers. Oliver gradually faded from the spotlight and eventually disappeared. The mystery of the Humanzee. This is Oliver. He's baffled science for the last 30 years.
He's a great mystery. No one's ever been able to explain why he is different.
Something is in there, more than an animal.
To be in his presence, he's just strange. He's different.
What first drew the public and the scientists to Oliver was his bizarre appearance and behavior. Psychology professor Gordon Gallup from the State University of New York in Albany will never forget the first time he set eyes on Oliver.
I thought Oliver might be a Humanzee. Oliver had some very peculiar morphological characteristics, facial characteristics that looked surprisingly human-like to me.
To look at, Oliver is certainly no ordinary chimpanzee. His head is bald and smaller than normal chimps. His jaw is not as pronounced as you'd expect, and his ears are pointed rather than rounded. His scent is different, and other chimpanzees want nothing to do with him. But it's his habit of always walking upright, something that normal chimpanzees just don't do, that made the scientists sit up and take notice. He'd been brought over from Africa as a baby in 1960 by animal trainer Frank Berger, and spent the first 16 years of his life with the Berger family at their home in Blackwood, New Jersey. Frank died, but his widow Janet still trains chimpanzees to appear in films and television commercials. Her latest charge, Chippy, is no stranger to the camera.
Good morning. Frank, when he was younger, my husband, he was a guide up in the Congo. His brother sent over 3 chimps. Well, 2 were chimps and 1 was Oliver.
Oliver turned out to be very different from Chippy or any other chimp she'd ever come across.
When Oliver was I'd say about 4 or 5 months old, he just one day stood up and Was always up. Very, very seldom he ever put his knuckles on the ground. If he walked like a half a block, he would walk upright. This guy, if you walk a half a block, towards the end, he can't make it, you know. Come here, Chip. Chip, come here, son. Come on. Chippy, stand up. Up. Come on, walk. Come on, up, up, up.
Because of the way their hips are made, most chimpanzees can only walk upright when coaxed like this, and then only for short periods of time. Unlike Oliver, Chippy soon reverts to walking on all fours.
Chippy.
Janet and Frank Berger found the upright Oliver wasn't very good for business, as their other performing chimps shunned him. It didn't seem to bother Oliver, as he preferred the company of humans anyway.
But he used to come in the house and sit down and watch television and smoke a cigar, you know. You could give him chores. You'd say, put hay in the wheelbarrow and take it over there. And he'd look where you're pointing, he would take it over there. A chimpanzee, you turn him loose, give him a wheelbarrow, he's gone. He's up a tree somewhere, you know.
Oliver didn't behave like this to get any kind of reward. According to Janet, he simply wanted to do what humans do.
See, this is what a chimp does. Now, Oliver wouldn't do that. Oliver was like a little person. He knew how to wash his hands and here, Chip. That's typical chimp. Look who's up here. Look, who's up there? Who's that guy?
As Oliver reached sexual maturity, it wasn't simply being house-trained that singled him out from the other chimps. He'd begun to develop an interest in Janet Berger.
You know, I always thought he was a cross between a human and a chimp. I did. The way he acted, I've been around chimps all my life, and he was altogether different. And his problem was, when he was 16, then he wanted to make love to women, you know? He'd get a hold of you, couldn't get away from it. I'd help Frank. He didn't bite or nothing, just going to hug me and kiss me and whatever, you know.
Oliver was becoming a real problem. Janet started looking for someone who could take him off her hand.
So she basically wanted somebody to take her off her hands because she was about to get raped by Oliver the...
Oh my God.
Raped, I should say, by Oliver the Humanzee. I mean, that's just handsy, humanzee craziness, right? And so the next question would be, how would this even happen? And, you know, I don't even know. But is it even possible for them to blend two different kind of species together? And the answer is yes.
Yeah,
and,
well, sheep and...
Well, look at the liger. It's the blend between a lion and a tiger. And so that's what this next clip's about, is showing how you can blend two animals together. So it's not far off. So check this out.
Professional pianist Vincent Pace was a friend of the Bergers and had known Oliver for years. He was aware that Oliver's sexual advances towards Janet were becoming serious and that something had to be done.
She went in this particular day and he became aggressive, and he turned her around quickly, put her head down, bent her over, and he mounted her.
It was the last straw for Janet. Vincent Pace considered buying Oliver and invited his mother along to meet this possible new addition
Hey,
to the
Mom.
family. Her
Meet
reaction
Oliver.
was typical of the first encounter with this unnerving creature.
Why would you do that?
He walked out down the hallway exactly the way he walked the day I had seen him. Shoulders back, erect, very aware. And he walked directly over the table and she yelled out, "Oh my God," she says, "get him away from me."
To get to the bottom of what makes Oliver so disturbingly different, we need to delve deeper into his origins. Oliver comes from a part of Central Africa where traditionally some people live in close proximity with our ape cousins. In this remote village, several chimps are kept as household pets, although their status within the family is very low. It's thought that up to 78,000 chimpanzees live in the wild in this part of the world. Could Oliver be the offspring of some unspeakable union between human and chimp? Could this account for Oliver's strange human-like behavior and appearance? With chimps living so closely to humans, such a union, while highly unlikely, is not beyond the bounds of possibility.
I thought that he had been crossed with a human being. I thought somehow, somewhere, someone had played a very dirty trick, and this was the remains, so to speak. To this day, I believe that there's something in there that makes him human.
If that's true, then we need to ask, is it scientifically possible for two different species to produce a hybrid offspring? Are there any precedents in nature for such a creature? Dr. Bhagavan Antal runs the Institute of Greatly Endangered and Rare Species in Myrtle
from
Beach,
Tiger
South
King.
Carolina. He successfully combined two species to produce hybrid offspring called ligers. The laws of nature apply to big cats as well as primates. Genetically, ligers are 50% tiger and 50% lion.
Here on my right, we have a Bengal tiger. She's about a year and a half old, and she's got that bold black and orange striping. And then on my left, we have a young lion about the same year and a half old, who you can see has a much more tawny pale coat. And obviously the mix of the two right here, where the shadow striping and his bold markings show us the liger. He's a liger because his father is a lion, his mother a tiger.
That's the baby. Now meet the adult. If you haven't come across a fully grown liger before, then this is the largest cat you're ever likely to see. Ligers show traits common to both parents. For instance, tigers love to get wet, but lions can't stand the water. Samson got his water-loving genes from the tiger side of the family. The liger is living proof that two species who would never meet up in the wild can mate and produce offspring. It works for cats, but how alike are primates? To find out the answer, scientists measured how well bonded human DNA is when compared to a mix of human and chimp DNA.
So, I mean, it's plausible. It's very much, it could happen, you know, and it's, I mean, that, so that guy's in jail, the guy that did the ligers, just like Joe Exotic now, but Joe Exotic had ligers. And what's the first thing that you think of from pop culture when you hear liger?
Tony Tiger?
Oh, I was going to say Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon. Yeah.
A liger, it's pretty much between or it's a mix between, I used to be able to know it word for word. Pretty much my favorite animal. It's like a lion and a tiger mix. It's bred for skills and magic.
Yeah, I remember that scene.
Yeah. So a liger is a real thing, and so if you can breed a lion and a tiger, I mean, why couldn't you, you know, if we are that closely related, I mean, sounds kind of gross, but yeah. So now we're going to be getting into our last clip about Oliver, and it's about what happened to Oliver. Like, where did he end up? So let's play that.
We share at least 99% of our basic biochemistry in common with each other, and I would be surprised, therefore, if humans and chimpanzees couldn't hybridize. The real question, however, is if humans and chimpanzees did hybridize, would those hybrids be reproductively viable?
It's not possible to say if Oliver is fertile, as he's never been attracted to female chimpanzees, and as a consequence has never mated. Back in 1976, when Janet Berger was looking to sell the over-amorous Oliver, his picture appeared in a magazine. It caught the attention of a New York attorney. Michael Miller knows all about the law, but he wasn't quite sure what to expect from a chimp that walks upright.
I'm waiting for him to come in the room. I'm actually nervous. And then I said, can we see Oliver? And they took me out into the barn. I sat down in a chair just like I am now. And Mr. Berger went into the other room, came back, and there was Oliver on a tether. And I was blown away. I don't even know how to, I don't have words to describe how I felt.
At that first meeting, Michael Miller took these pictures. What he saw that day convinced him to buy Oliver there and then. But he had competition.
I was in the process of purchasing him, and someone outbid me, a lawyer from New York City who had other ideas for him. Outbid me by $6,000. And even though the Bergers and I were very close, I couldn't come up with the money at that time, and they sold him to Michael Miller. I was heartbroken, absolutely, personally heartbroken.
Michael Miller bought Oliver for $8,000. He knew nothing about keeping chimps, so he asked Oliver's previous owner, Frank Berger, to look after him. After all, he couldn't take him home to Manhattan.
So he
what
bought
would the
him.
neighbors say?
Well, they thought I was crazy.
And he left them.
Everybody I knew thought I was crazy. They hadn't seen them. And so I just said, you know, I just bought this ape. It's the strangest thing I ever saw. I walked upright, and that's nice.
But Manhattan attorney owns Bigfoot was not a story he was going to be able to keep to himself for long. Soon, a journalist, sensing a scoop, came knocking at his door.
And he said, look, I want the exclusive story and I want a photograph, or I'm going to put it out on the UPI wire, and you're going to have everybody in the world coming to your door.
Michael Miller thought he was bluffing. By the next morning, he was forced to change his mind.
I got to my office. I couldn't get into the building. I literally couldn't get into the building. So what's it about? And I said, there's an attorney who has Bigfoot. And I could feel my heart go down into my knees. I was really scared.
Soon, headlines were asking the question, is he a Bigfoot, or has science created a Frankenstein monster?
So that's the mystery of Oliver the Humanzee. Now, what are your thoughts about this, Jake and Opa? Jake?
Well, from the biblical lens, as in the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. It's something your father would talk about when it comes to genetic manipulation that happened before Noah's flood. And you see all kinds of like creatures that came out of it. Supposedly, like even dinosaurs could have been these crossbreed abominable creatures that were the mixture. And there's some apocryphal, pseudepigraphal texts like the Book of Giants that hints at the way that they accomplished this is there's the chromosome count of different creatures. And there was a science that the fallen angels had apparently taught mankind where they would take two creatures that had like a certain chromosome count, and whenever they would breed those two creatures, it would create a new creature with a new type of chromosome count, and then that creature would then be more compatible with another creature that could be brought in, because certain creatures, based on those chromosome counts, are definitely incompatible. But it was like through that pseudo-mystical fallen angel science is how they cracked the code. And I kind of think that, you know, maybe the Most High locked that potential and we're only just able to crack it open again with CRISPR technology and stuff like that. So in looking at this ape coming from, you know, decades ago, I can only imagine that if it was some type of cross animal human hybrid, it was just some terrible, gross, abominable thing, you know, formed in the jungles, you know, that to me it really is, it does look like nightmare fuel, like the way that it looks and how they're describing and talking about it. But I would say they could very quickly put the theory to rest just by some genetic samples, and I'm sure the owners probably preserved some hair or some tissue samples, a corpse or whatever, and they could put that into a laboratory now and see if there was some sort of genetic thing. And so I'd be very skeptical.
Well, he might bend them over and try to.
Yeah, that to me that's just horrifying. Like,
and then you bring your mother to go and meet the thing. It's like, why would you do that?
Oh man,
what are your thoughts, Uppa?
Well, being from Africa and in the jungle, I really think it's crossbreeding.
Could be. What do you got against Africa? I'm just kidding.
Nothing, but I think, you know, some of the villages and some of the, you know...
Yeah, remote villages.
Remote villages, you know, who knows?
I guess. Good point. Well, that's all I got for Oliver the Humanzee. If you guys want to check out more and let us know more information about it, if you have any more information, I'd be interested to know. But I have one more clip, and if you were here on Sunday, I added a couple more clips, but here's volume 28 of Please Excuse My Sense of Humor. So enjoy.
Hi Sharks, my name is Benny, and this is the dish rack hat. It washes and dries your plates while you wear it, and the water runs right off.
Hi, my name is Ryan. This is my new drink, the Super Soda. It's every flavor from the fountain all together. It's like a party in a cup.
Ryan, I tried it. It tastes awful.
It's just a mix of sugar and chemicals. There's no... Hi Sharks, my name is Benny, and this is the windsock hat. It tells you exactly which way the breeze is blowing and how strong it is.
Hi Sharks, my name's Tyler, and I'm here asking for $40,000 for 10% of my company. It's called Daybeam. It's a solar-powered flashlight that only works in the daytime.
Wait, only in the daytime? Yep.
Hi, my name is Cash, and this is a smart rock. It connects to nothing, it does nothing, it just exists. I'm asking for 2 grilled cheese sandwiches.
Wait, 2
rub my belly.
Go on,
Rub
just a
my
little.
belly.
Not happening, buddy. You're going
Rub
back to
my
your own.
belly.
You
Rub
know
my
you
belly.
want
Softest fur in the county, I swear.
I'm not falling for
Just
it.
one hand, rough or gentle, I don't care. Rub.
Fine.
All right, Miss Dorsey, just take a deep breath for me. Let it out. Good, nice and easy, right there. Whoa, Miss Dorsey, you okay?
Holding that inverted cross, look at the control. Into the L-sit, perfect line, back kick to the cross again. This cat is unreal. Big swing now, there's the handstand locked in. Kick release, double back, grabs it clean, satin up. Start, clean release. Look at that tuck, straight to the second bar. Holding the handstand, steady pause, now into the giant. Beautiful line, double back, caught it. One more out, flawless. Straight into the full twist. Look at the control on that landing. Front aerial, seamless connection, setting up for the dismount. Double back.
Lift. Here comes the opening bounce. Clean lift, tight tuck. There's the full twist. Beautiful control on the landing. Into the front flip. Smooth. Double back coming up. Yes. Straight into a landing.
That's actually our cat Romeo.
Smooth as silk, right
He's
into the
old,
giant
but
swing.
he's
Look at the
still
extension. Handstand hold.
pretty,
Rock solid. Release
limber.
to the high bar. Here comes the mount. Big back tuck onto the beam. Stuck. Here comes the first swing. Great height. Releases into a double front, tight and quick, recatch, straight into the L-sit. Now watch this control. One paw handstand, steady as a rock. Unbelievable routine for the...
My name is Pablo, Juan Carlos, Alejandro González, María Lucia Mendoza, Macarena Chipotle, Tapatio con queso, guacamole, Ferreira, Santiago Rodriguez, but everybody calls me Bobby.
Now, introducing Coinberg.
Oy vey! Listen to this reaction. This place has gone absolutely unglued.
Half the crowd's booing, half are just stunned. You never know who can show up in a Rumble match, but I did not have this on my bingo card.
You didn't even know what rhythm was until you saw me.
Lies! Propaganda from a glitter club!
It's a propaganda from a glitter club.
Hey, let's calm down!
He's charging down the runway. Look at that speed for a man that size. Plants it up. Oh, my goodness, he's still rising.
He's still rising.
Charging hard down the runway. Plants in. Massive bend here. He's up. Over. Oh, the pole snap. Powering down the runway. Pole set. Eyes locked on the bar. Let's go. Plants it. Huge bend.
I would
He's
pay
up, inverted,
to see
clearing,
the plus
over the
size
top.
Olympics.
He got it. He got it.
Same with the little
Here he
people
goes, driving
Olympics.
down the runway. Pole
That'd
steady
be
in his
great.
hands. Come on. Massive bend. And he's up. Over the bar. Comes Jensen barreling down the runway. Look at the speed for a man his size. Pole goes in. Huge plan. Oh my. He's still rising. That's coming down the runway now. Look at the speed he's carrying for a man of his size.
Shout out to Shay. I think Shay sent me this one.
Down, let the ashes speak. Set the ground from under my feet. Can't break me, I fight back harder. This is the
Strike, scream, and run. All right, let's try it.
All the little birds on Dreamer Street, they love to hear Nick go tweet, 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 rockin' Robin. Rockin' Robin. Slow rockin' Robin, cause we're really gonna rock tonight.
Hey, he was on key.
So scary. Oh my gosh. AI is like, this kind of AI is creepy, man.
Imagine going back like 20 years and showing people this.
Let's go! Paul in the black and gold trunks. Burek rolling out in the chair. Gloves high. Quick jab from Paul. Lands clean.
And it was like they got shot with a dart in the
Introducing your friend from work to your drinking buddies.
Okay.
After you told everyone he was cool.
What is wrong with you guys?
When dropped under normal conditions, will invariably rotate their bodies
Zero gravity
longitudinally in
cat.
midair and land on their feet. This automatic
They
reflex
don't have to
action
do.
is almost completely lost
Because
under
cats always
weightlessness.
land on their feet, you know? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's tripping them out. They're like, no compute.
They're in one of those airplanes that go up and down, you know?
I've always wanted to do that.
Keep those paws right there. You know why I stopped you, buddy. Let's see what we got in this pocket.
Somebody wants to fund it.
Bag of catnip. That's
I'll do
more
it
than the
with
legal limit, all right? You know you can't carry this much. Sit tight. Hey, get back here.
This is one cool thing about AI.
Everybody just stay cool. We're going to keep it going. When a storm rolls in, I'm still by your side.
That really happened, but it wasn't captured on film.
Hold on, darling, the night is ours to ride. It's a neighborly day in this town of mine, and I'm glad that you're here, my
That was
friend.
beautiful, Elvis. You make it sound so easy.
But when the message is good,
It looks real.
Yeah, it looks so real. Man, that's the last two are what makes AI kind of cool, because, you know, you can just things that you wish you could have seen, or in my opinion, things I wish I could have seen Elvis do in person, like on video, but I can't see it. So
Yeah, I guess it balances out. It's the things you wish you could have seen but you never got to or never happened, and then you have to like also be exposed to the things you wish you never could see again that just have scarred you for life. It's like, because there's some really creepy stuff AI was, but
yep. Well, that's all I got for History's Mysteries and for my Please Excuse My Sense of Humor. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Jake, thank you for another great current news. Memes as always. Opa, thank you for another great Opus Corner. And we hope you enjoyed today's episode as a whole. Stay awake, not woke. Subscribe and stay tuned. And we hope to see you at Truth or Con. If you like what we do here on Skiba News Nation, please like and subscribe. And also share with others so we can grow the biggest truth-seeking community on the internet. Huge shout out to all of our Patreons out there. If you like bonus content, you want some extra Skiba News Nation stuff, please go to patreon.com/Skiba News Nation.
Son of the legendary lost Jeremiah Skiba.
It's like they don't even want to wake up.
He's on a quest for truth.